What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Throughout the federal election, Mark Carney made a lot of promises. One of them was going to be that he was going to handle big old Donald Trump. He was going to set things right and fight back against the tariffs, and everything was going to be fantastic. In fact, he shocked all of Southern Ontario, all the liberal Southern Ontario voters, to drop their support for Pierre Poilievre and vote for him out of fear that things were going to radically change in Canada. Well, they have, but only to the tune of people losing their jobs, of EV companies leaving the country that they've been touting for so long. In fact, the cabinet has literally stayed the same. We've all seen that, aside from a shuffle. Essentially, Justin Trudeau's entire team is still here. Well, one more promise that Mark Carney has made was that he was going to unify Canada, that he was going to unleash its economic potential, just like Pierre Poilievre. He was stealing from Pierre. In fact, Pierre recommended he continued to steal from him because it would make Canada better. But what we're seeing right now is that it's a catch-22 when it comes to Mark Carney. And in fact, one of the things, now we all saw this coming. Please don't think for one second that I believed Mark Carney was going to fix things. But a catch-22 has come as when we talk about pipelines, Mark Carney's now passing the buck to make it look as though, hey, look, I do want to fix Canada, but it's everybody else who doesn't. He's basically just given the keys to Alberta to prop up its demands for independence. Now, Danielle Smith, essentially, before the election, keep in mind, she gave this warning to Pierre Poilievre as well, that no matter who became Prime Minister of Canada, they had 6 months to meet the demands of Albertans for a free and fair Alberta, that we wanted to avoid a national unity crisis. One of those demands was access to both sides of the country in terms of the ocean to get our products to market, as well as the north. This is how Mark Carney avoids it. And of course, he'll just throw others under the bus. He'll post blame on everybody else that, hey, I tried, guys. I really want to work with you. But it's everybody else that's the problem. So here's an exclusive coming away from CTV, the paid shield prostitute arm of the government. Exclusive: Carney says yes to building a pipeline only if the consensus exists for one. Now, we all know that Blanchet, as well as Premier Legault, have come out multiple times to say it's not socially acceptable to build a pipeline, that they will never build any pipelines through Quebec. So we already know what's going to come from this. We know what's going to happen. As I said, this only fuels the fire for separatism in the West even more. And not just for Alberta, but you see many parts of British Columbia jumping on board now. You see Saskatchewan talking about it. Manitoba, of all places. And I'm born and raised Manitoban. I did not believe for a second that I would hear them talking about it, but apparently now it's being entertained over there as well. Not to the degree of Alberta. I believe Alberta is going to be the catalyst in this movement that's going to show how the process at least can get started. But Mark Carney ultimately passing the buck here to fuel those tensions. So this article comes out to say that while previously touting his pledge to make Canada an energy superpower, Prime Minister Mark Carney went on further Tuesday, explicitly saying he supports building a pipeline if the consensus exists for one. First off, I've said repeatedly, yes, first point, Carney said in an exclusive interview. So it's not my fault. It's everybody else's. He said this during an interview with Vashi Kapelos on Tuesday, since becoming prime minister. Secondly, because I understand the need for that consensus. I'm a prime minister who can help create that consensus. Now, when you follow the money when it comes to Brookfield, they stand to make a lot of money off of oil. I just don't know if it's Canadian oil. This is part of the reason why they have multiple energy projects in the United States. This could all be part of the picture for Mark Carney and Brookfield. It says here, amid U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats, public and political support for new oil and gas pipelines has grown across the country to reduce Canada's reliance on the United States. And while Carney committed in the Liberal platform to building Canada into an energy superpower that combines our conventional energy resources with our unlimited potential when it comes to clean, affordable energy, there was some mixed messaging during the federal election campaign about his support for pipelines. Well, again, I support it. It's just others might not, right? And I can't infringe on their wants or needs. When asked about energy projects and pipelines in an interview with Radio Canada program Tout le monde en parle back in April, Carney said in French, "We have to choose a few projects. a few big projects, not necessarily pipelines, but maybe pipelines. We'll see. So again, it's all word salad. Pressed by Kapelos on the shifting stance on some environmental initiatives, such as consumer carbon tax, which he eliminated as prime minister, despite previously endorsing the policy. Keep in mind, he didn't eliminate it, he reduced it to zero. Carney reiterated his support for a pipeline. If you want a simple answer on will I support building a pipeline, yes, that's a simple answer. I've given that multiple times, Carney said. No, he hasn't. While the pipeline alone is not enough to make Canada an energy superpower, just doing one pipe, it's not just doing one pipe. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. That's a positive thing and working collaboratively in order to happen, but it's not enough, he added. Asked whether his push to make Canada an energy superpower means exporting more oil and gas, Carney said it's an element of it, but it's not an element of it at the same time. We need to do multiple things at the same time in order to build this base so that we are creating wealth and competitiveness, better lives for Canadians for generations, he said. We're going to be very ambitious across a range. That's why we're not asking for one nation building project. We're asking for nation building projects. And we are going to move as rapidly as possible on as many of them as possible. So, again, word salad out of the way. He's basically saying, look, I'll say I personally endorse, energy superpowers and pipelines and whatnot. But when we're talking about something like to the degree of Energy East, he's not going to openly promote it. In fact, he's saying that if there is a consensus for it, he'll allow it. We all know that that's never going to come. It's not going to happen. It says here that he's open to changing the divisive C69 emission caps. In the past, Alberta Danielle Smith, Premier, and Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe have expressed concern about some liberal environmental policies they call divisive and say inhibit the province's economic successes. Well, they do. They put a cap on our ability to get our products to market. Because those policies include the emissions cap on oil and gas sector, Bill C69, or the No New Pipelines law, 2019 law, which changes the environmental review process designed for energy projects to weigh environmental and social issues when approving or rejecting a project. During the election campaign, Carney said he planned to keep both contentious Trudeau-era policies, but when speaking to Kapelos on Tuesday, Carney described recent conversations he had with both Premier Moe and Premier Smith as constructive. Conversations are one thing, but I don't know about you guys. I've always been told actions speak a lot louder than words, and that's all we're getting here. We will change things at the federal level that need to be changed in order for projects to move forward, he said. When asked by Kapelos whether those changes could include Bill C69 and the emissions cap, Carney directly said absolutely could include both. So, yeah, sure it could. This is where I find these articles such a nothing burger. And people are going to say, well, Fringe, why are you reporting on this? Because this is what's going to sow the seeds of not just Alberta, but Western Canada saying, Ottawa doesn't give a damn about the rest of the country. It's absolutely. Yeah, I'll just say what you want to hear, Vashi. I'll just tell you everything you want to hear. Keep in mind, Vashi gave him a hard time during this interview. He's just wanting to get away from the scrutiny. He doesn't want to have bad image, bad press so fresh into his career as prime minister. You'll remember him saying during the debates, well, I've only been here for a month. Cut me some slack, guys. Stop breaking my balls. It's not going to happen. We're not getting anything from Mark Carney. It says here, I'm not going to do it conceptually. I'm going to do it on specifics. Do it moving forward, he added. Following Carney's federal election, when Smith made a public appeal for a reset in the relationship between Alberta and Ottawa, while also calling her first conversation with Carney a positive first step. Well, again, actions will speak louder than words. Mark Carney essentially stating here that he's not going to do anything in terms of actions to sway the opinions of Danielle Smith or Scott Moe. It says here he's set to meet with premiers at First Ministers meeting on Saskatchewan on June 2nd. Again, I don't think Albertans, forget the premier or the prime minister or Premier Scott Moe. I don't think those who live in Saskatchewan, I don't think Albertans, I don't think anybody in BC who supports more energy in this country is going to be satisfied with what Mark Carney has to offer. Should that be anything other than passing the buck on to others to blame them, to say it's their fault it's not going through? It's nothing to do with the federal government. We love you guys. It's just these guys don't want to work with you. Let me know what you think down below is going to happen. Let me know your thoughts on this. Again, I think it's more passing the buck, but hey, I'm interested to hear your take on this. Let me know in the comments below. Give a thumbs up if it's your first time here. It helps push us out in that good old YouTube algorithm and tells people this is worth checking out or listening to at the very least. If you haven't yet subscribed, I hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure as you click that bell for notifications, you turn on for all notifications so you don't miss a beat anytime a new video is uploaded to the channel. Also, join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our weekly live streaming show where I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we sit down and talk about everything that's happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth with the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to chatting with you guys each and every week to hear what you have to say, but I most importantly look forward to hearing what you're going to say this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.